I'm like, yo, it's Jimmy.
Do you remember Bully? No, I don't mean this big dodgy bastard from Mario. I mean the sometimes forgotten mid-2000s action and adventure school 'em up made by Rockstar.
Get off me, man.
Ah yes, Rockstar Games. A powerhouse in video game land. They're almost a household name at this point. Makers of huge franchises like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, and lesser known games like Manhunt, Smuggler's Run and Midnight Club. Bully was another of these lesser known releases, certainly nowhere near as famous as GTA, RDR and even some of their published games like LA Noire and Max Payne, but it's still a game that has a lot of fans, me included. I may get a lot of shit for saying this, but alongside GTA San Andreas, I think Bully is Rockstar's best game. I wanted to get this wanter out of the way right off the bat, so we can all move on with our lives and I can make my case for why I like the game the way I do. Oh, and I'm not going to go into my feelings about more recent Rockstar games too much, other than to refer to them in context to the company's releases overall, though I will say they're fine, I guess. Anyway, with that lukewarm, mildly spicy take out of the way, let's get to remembering the fudge out of this little gem.
Lesson 1, Tutor Group, the basics.
Let's start with the fundamentals for all you stats fans out there. Bully was first released in November 2006 on the PlayStation 2. It received positive reviews across the board and sold fairly okay, 1.5 million copies by March 2008. The year and month that the slightly updated Scholarship Edition was released for the Xbox 360, PC and Nintendo Wii. Average playtime was about 15 to 20 hours, depending on all the side content you did. For the purpose of this retrospective, I replayed the game once through, and a few more hours to get snippets of footage. I also clocked a few hours in GTA 3, GTA San Andreas, and Manhunt to get a broader flavour of Rockstar's mid-2000s games, and also LA Noire. This wasn't relevant to the video, I just wanted to laugh at the facial animations again, cause I hadn't played it in a while and needed some cheering up. Alright, enough facts and numbers, this isn't maths you nerds. Bully is all about that sweet school life, at a private academy in the small fictional town of Bulworth in the USA. You take control of James Hopkins, or Jimmy for short, who is a bit of an outcast, has been expelled from several schools and is therefore involuntarily enrolled at Bulworth Academy by his mother and rich new stepfather in an attempt to straighten him out a little and veer him from his path as a juvenile delinquent. There are quite a few more characters to take note of, but we'll talk about some of them later. For now, Jimmy and his two cohorts, Gary, the school psychopath, and Pete, the sorry boy everyone picks on, are the main three the story focuses on. And so in Bully, you go to school. Thankfully, this isn't anywhere near as boring or triggering as it sounds. You control Jimmy via a third-person perspective, which gives you the standard controls. 360 camera, run, walk, crouch, jump, over-the-shoulder aiming. One of its main features is a clock system. While in school the gameplay loop is pretty structured, but not in too much of an annoying way. You go to class at set times where you take part in mildly amusing lessons and tasks that usually culminate in completing a puzzle. Then what you do with the rest of the time is down to you. Advance the main story, meet NPCs, take on side missions from these people, or explore the school and the neighbouring town Bulworth. Though be careful after curfew, prefects and teachers will hunt you down. It's kind of a shame clock features like this don't appear too often these days. They used to be everywhere in the mid-2000s.
Lesson 2, English Lit, the story.
For me, Rockstar's stories are sometimes a bit window dressing-y. They're always fine, but it's not why I'm playing their games. Bully's though is definitely one of the more palatable ones, and perhaps that's another reason why I look at the game more favourably than Rockstar's other stuff. The studio's formula hasn't changed for many years now, and playing it in 2022 unfortunately only makes it seem more dated. At the time though, it was peak. Bully has a fairly varied set of mission types, your standard fare like fetch quests, follow missions, sneaking ones, fighting and the like, but among them were some big standouts, and for me it's when Bully uses its unique school setting and theme to full effect that the game's story and questlines really shine. Here are 4 examples in a neat little presentation.
Halloween, Chapter 1.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I was just lying here wishing I could be more like you.
Yeah, whatever.
But I'm cursed.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, cursed by brains. Do you know what torture it is to be thinking all the time? No, of course you don't.
Gary's such a nog goblin, isn't he? Oh, look at me, such an edgelord dressing like a Nazi. Anyway, what makes the Halloween level great for me is it's quite refreshing to experience All Hallows Eve from the perspective of being a bit of a prick for once, rather than the usual nice people just trying to trick-or-treat in peace viewpoint. Pranking, nailing fellow students with eggs and stealing candy. Oh man, this bullying business is great. It's a varied level with a cool aesthetic. I just love Halloween, dude, and I wish every game had a level dedicated to it. This section leads to the optional mission, The Big Prank, which involves some rotten meat and some dog shit. Considering that kind of build-up, the resulting prank is fairly tame. Oh well.
Tad's House, Chapter 2.
This level is probably the best at showcasing a more stereotypical, largely innocent teenage pranking, because mostly all it involves is egging a house. Oh, and a 6'6", 20 stone meathead friend who demolishes anyone who's in the way, but we'll gloss over that. Tad's House is a great level because it combines this traditional form of rebellion with getting your own back on the annoying rich kid clique. A very satisfying payoff.
Stronghold Assault, Chapter 4.
It's Jimmy versus the nerds, as Pete is denied entry to their clique because they find him too weird. Sick burn. In retaliation, Pete asks Jimmy to make them see their place in the school food chain by taking on Ernest, leader of the nerds. To reach him though, you have to power your way through the domain of the clique, the library, because of course it is, and on the way to the observatory. Wait, are you telling me your school never had one? Come on now. It's a pretty cool spin on a well-worn gaming trope of tower defense, and utilises some funny unique weapons that are perfect bully alternatives to lethal weaponry. Come on, how is a spud gun not amazing?
The Big Game, Chapter 4.
The Big Game is a long, sprawling mission. It's also funny, incorporates many of the game's best features, and has a huge payoff at the end. It also involves a mascot outfit, which is always an objectively hilarious plot device. The Bullworth Bullhorns outfit enables Jimmy to get around in a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of way. For me, this should have been one of the last missions of the game. All Out Mayhem, the actual last mission, just kind of fell flat for me because essentially it was just a big brawl. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love me a big brawl. If the fists ever start flying, I'll be there swinging and roundhousing in an instant. It just doesn't always make for the most interesting gameplay. I understand for the story Rockstar were trying to tell, it's used as a big and loud finale involving all of the character cliques. However, for me, the Big Game would have been even better. You could have some top tier bants with the mascot, Gary could have been humiliated in front of the whole school at the game, and the game itself could have been this big climax event to finish the game off where you're not sure which clique will end up winning, but it's all a bait as it ends up with the same happy moral ending. Come on, you know that sounds rad. Anyway, the Big Game is still an awesome level and one of Rockstar's best.
Lesson 3, Geography, Sacred Lands.
Beyond these amazing missions, the main fun in Bully is found where Rockstar have always been amazing, the game's world building. Bullworth Academy is a weird social clash of a private school, as in it seems more of a British version of a school rather than an American one, but I can't say I'm an expert beyond a quick Google search. Hey, you can't see I'm not a professional. Anyway, Bully's portrayal of school life is weirdly accurate at times, mainly in a stereotypical way, sure, but there were also several points where I was reminded of the fucked up shit that happened at my schools. I finished school at a similar time to Bully's first release, and at times it did a good job capturing the essence of teen life, at a place many of us just didn't want to be. Kids are fucking dicks to each other, man. Like, no wonder so many of us came through our teens damaged as fuck. Beyond the school, Bully also has a town to explore. Bullworth is a weird place almost stuck in a rut, as most towns with a big school suffer with. The population hate the kids hate the population, yet the local economy depends on it to an extent. In this way, Bully is possibly Rockstar's best work at making a world that also makes a statement, however mundane at first glance, and maybe even by accident. For all of Rockstar's recent attempts at realism and social commentary, a little curio from 2006 has done it better and more interestingly than anything they've tried since, to me at least. Maybe because it came from a place of lived experience that they could actually draw from realistically.
Lesson 4, Physical Education, Sticks and Stones.
Say what you will about Rockstar's cast of character creations over the years, but I've always found it to be one of their main strengths, even if it isn't the most diverse collection of people. Unfortunately, this is one of Bully's rare missteps. It's just not the greatest here. Jimmy is 50-50 likeable / a prick. A likeable prick, if you will. Gary is a pretty good villain, I guess, an interesting take on their common psychopath thread, but the rest of the cast are just kinda there. There are some standout appearances, but that's about it. Back to more positive stuff. Bully's size and scope are also very key, alongside others of Rockstar's golden years in the 2000s. Originally out on PS2, these games were bound by the console's technical limitations, while still being technically impressive for its time. So with that, every inch had character and had its place. I still lose myself whenever I play these games, finding new details and things to do. I'm personally more a fan of a world that is denser and more fully fleshed out like this, regardless of its size, though these games always seem to be smaller. Funny that. I'm also a big fan of humour in a game, even if the humour is dumb or a tad on the edgy side, and there is humour everywhere in Rockstar's mid-2000s run of gold. It was goddamn fun to play these games, man. While Bully is great fun, it's also pretty difficult to discuss without at least acknowledging a few important things. It ain't a perfect game. None of Rockstar's games are, despite how they review. Bully is particularly interesting because it's nowhere near as violent or mature or as gritty as Rockstar's other franchises, and sort of came out of left field in that regard. With that said, Bully did explore some more adult themes alongside the more teen and young adult themes that the game was aiming at, and it still very much has most of the hallmarks of an Rockstar game. As a result, Bully is a product of its time. It's janky, the combat is pretty bad, there's some rough writing, bad stereotyping. Anyway, Bully can be seen as sexist, homophobic and crass, that it has problematic themes and it glorifies bullying at times. The game was certainly slammed at release by parents, censors and lobby groups, renamed in some countries, all because it existed, even though none of these people played a second of it and grossly misunderstood what it was, just because of its name. It also included gay romance, anti-bullying messaging, and had something to say about how kids are parented. So largely, I think whether you'll still like the game depends on who you are. Beyond Bully's many faults, I still love it, even if I'm one of the people that the game pokes fun at times. Besides, a lot of this stuff is particularly easy to spot nowadays and say with hindsight, and shows how far we've come. At its heart, it's just a game that captures how hormonal and horny teenagers are all the time.
Lesson 5, Social Studies, the end of Rockstar's golden era.
When Bully first released in 2006, it was at the heart of Rockstar's golden era, a time where they could do no wrong in my opinion. In 2022, how times have changed. Well, beyond the year obviously. Rockstar is a very different studio with very different priorities. In the last 10 years, they've made only 2 games and re-released one of those for 3 different console generations. In the 10 years before that, they made 15 plus. This isn't a quality versus quantity argument though. Because of those 15, there were many Game of the Year games and amazing innovation and diversity. Since, well, they've forgotten how to make video games fun, for my tastes at least. They now make these gritty, depressing games set in these amazing worlds, but have tried to make the story more or equally as important as the rest. This is especially troubling as they haven't had the best track record when it comes to writing diversely or without resorting to poor stereotypes. Oh, and if you're wondering, I've kind of resisted talking about the GTA and Red Dead Online juggernauts, because that's its own beast and I don't want to muddy the waters for this video, even if these products have clearly changed many of Rockstar's in-house strategies development-wise. Anyway, look, if you enjoy anything or everything Rockstar does, all power to you, friend. I hope you keep enjoying their games. To use a phrase I'll be using till I die, on this channel and probably on my gravestone, it doesn't have to be all one thing or nothing. Rockstar could make huge games like RDR2 and still make smaller ones like Bully. Maybe this would give some of their staff some much needed time off. Anywho, I only say this stuff because I give a shit. I grew up with Rockstar Games and I just really wish they'd throw back to their old selves with something new. Well, at least something that works. Because even their attempt at paying homage to their former glory went down like a sack of shit on fire.
Closing statement.
Bully is a game I remember very fondly and one that I still love today. Even if some parts haven't aged well, creakiness included, it was bold, it was crass, it didn't take itself too seriously, and it showed Rockstar at their best and most experimental. Will we ever see a sequel? Well, who the fuck knows at this point, but probably not. Even if fans and game sites keep stoking the flames of speculation desperately with little nuggets of rumours, copyright renewals and cryptic job adverts. For me, that's the biggest shame about modern Rockstar, because despite all the hundreds of millions of pounds being spent on GTA and Red Dead, it's Bully, a weird little experimental game about school life that remains some of the studio's best work.